Hello everyone, this is Leslie from Wall to Wall Vinyl, and I am joining you for the final of a four-part series of putting large designs that are larger than what you can print, splicing them, printing them, and then putting that together. This will be the portion of taping them back together, so we'll go ahead and just jump right in. If you are watching this on YouTube, please do me a favor and go and subscribe or join my Facebook group, Wall to Wall Vinyl, Sublimation Designs, and More on Facebook. If you're watching this on Facebook, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Wall to Wall Vinyl, to help me to grow. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the camera down. Let's see how well this works with this little camera here. This isn't the normal way I do things, and so we'll see if it works. So as you can see, I have printed out some of my larger designs that you saw in the previous video. This is actually a pillow design. I'm doing a 16 by 16, so I did 16.25 by 16.25. So I'm going to go ahead and put that together. I did want to show you a couple things. So if you will notice on this side, I have left a little ledge. That helps with taping. In my opinion, it makes a little bit easier to line it up and make sure that it doesn't split apart when you're pressing it, particularly around those items like your doormats and whatnot that you're putting a lot of pressure together. You'll notice on this side, I did not leave that ledge, and I'll show you the reason why in just a minute. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've cut all but this one out. Let me hurry and cut that out. And with stuff like this, I do like to cut it right to the edge of the design because it helps me with lining it up when I get it over to the press. And if you follow my YouTube channel, you will be able to see a matching set of a doormat, a garden flag, and pillows. Selfishly, these are all for me. All right, so you can see that I've cut right to the edge of my design. And again, on this one, I have left that little edge. That really helps me to be able to put the design back together and make sure it's lined up appropriately. I get a lot of people that ask me, well, how do you decide where you split a design? For me, it is easiest to do that down a large area where I'm getting a lot of, right down the middle of a highly, what I'm looking for, a very thick part of the design, because it's easier for me to put that together. Now, in something like this is a full coverage, a full bleed design. Obviously, I'm going to end up with, it's not going to matter. Anywhere I cut this design, I would be right in the middle of it. But some people say, well, if I have a design that has a lot of words or a lot of white areas, shouldn't I try to do it in the white areas? For me, that is harder. Every time I do a tutorial, all of my tutorials, I will tell you that there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat. This works for me. That doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. There are 5,000 ways to do it, but hopefully it helps give you some ideas. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just taking just a piece of Scotch tape. You can use heat tape, but Scotch tape is much cheaper, and I don't notice that there's any difference with this because it's not actually touching the substrate. So I'm going to just go half on, half off. So if you can see, my tape is half on the design, half off the design. I always do it on the back of the side that has the ledge. And the reason I do that is because now I have something a little bit more sturdy to base this on. So I am going to go ahead, and what I do is I line up my words. Sometimes I have to do this 2 or 3 times to get it to line up perfectly. It is a learning curve, it is a learning process, and so don't get frustrated if you have to do it a couple times. It will become second nature. I do this almost every time I print. I use this technique. So I still don't love how that lined up at the top. So what I'm going to do is just very carefully try to prevent it from ripping. And if I can move it just a little bit, which I can on this one, then that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you have to take the whole thing off, and that's okay. Just be very careful. But you can see that lined up really, really well. So let's do one more so you get that repetition. I have found in my life that repetition is the best teacher. So again, I'm going to use the side that has the ledge on it. I'm going to flip that over and put my tape on the back of that. And I'm going to start at one end. I usually go right to left if I'm looking at my right hand to my left hand, and I can already tell. So I'm going to just very carefully back this off. Okay, so now you can see it's laying nice and flat. One thing I will say with the tape as well is you want to make sure you don't force it, meaning you want just to lay it nice and softly. You don't want a lot of tension because that will make the paper pucker a little bit, and then it becomes harder to get it to lay flat and to line up appropriately. So then I'm going to do the exact same thing. For me, it works best to line up in the middle or line up the parts that are really easy to see where they fit. So for instance, I can see where my E needs to fit. I can see where my banner needs to fit. And I'm going to just move that on down. And that's going to line up really nice. And I'm going to just slowly make sure that this is going to line up, and that's going to line up very nice also. But again, if it doesn't, you just very slowly, very carefully back it off and try again. If you do have your paper tear, what I would suggest is reprinting. The reason for that is particularly on some of these thicker papers, it's going to create a pressure issue when you print or when you press it. It's pretty minute, so it may not, but I would rather be safe than sorry. So there you go. That's your finished design. Now you are ready to press. I hope that has been helpful. Please watch the previous 3 videos so that you can see how I went about changing up my design in Photoshop, Affinity, and Silhouette. Have a great night.